champ is here.
I must be the greatest.
The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I shook up the world.
Yes. Welcome. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with we. My name is EJ, and I got my man.
MH.
Yes, he's the DB of the show, and we are Black in Sports, giving a voice to the culture that won't shut up and dribble. Here interviewing the best professionals in the game and in the boardroom, providing a platform to be heard. So around this time, man, we'd love to welcome our guests. So I had to put the call in, right? So this guy's an embodiment of the culture, right? So he's for us. He's by us. He's a presidential ambassador, author, motivational speaker, family man, mentor, all-around entrepreneur, the people's shark. So please, let's clap it up.
Thank you. What's happening?
What's up, David, man?
Man, guys, thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure. Thank you, EJ, for reaching out. It's all good. What's happening?
Man, just happy to have you on, man, and want to get into it, man. So how we start the show is we start with a shoot your shot moment, right? So, it throws some of our guests off, and, I'm pretty sure you had a lot of shoot your shot moments just being an entrepreneur. But is there one that you would want to share with our audience?
When I had to go and shoot my shot?
Yes. Win or lose. And, it doesn't have to be business. It could be how you got the misses or whatever you want to shoot your shot, but something you want to share with the folks.
Well, I don't know. The one with the misses actually is counterproductive for this podcast, but I'll do it anyway, and okay. You guys can then you guys can roast me for the rest of the podcast. So I'm not a huge sports fan, not because of I don't respect and value sports. I love it actually, and I always wanted to be a baseball player. I wanted to be a shortstop growing up. Football, I tried a couple of times. I got hit one time, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm done with that. That's not happening." And I'm 5'7.5", so the basketball thing was kind of out of the way.
Don't forget the half, bro.
Yeah. And I tried boxing one time when I came home with a black eye, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm done with that too." So, but when I was growing up, a lot of my friends played sports, but then I would come home to one of my friends' houses, or go over his houses, and his uncles were extremely overweight, and they were young. They were like 22, 23. And I would see them yelling at the TV and yelling at all these individuals who are playing at the highest level you can possibly play the game.
Okay.
And I said to myself, man, I ain't going to respect nobody unless you play it or something that you can't do. I mean, pole vaulting, okay, I get it, right? Olympics, we watch, whatever. I was like, man, I ain't never going to be stuck home rooting and doing this if I'm not out if I'm out on the court or in the field trying it myself. That just happens to me. I said I'll do that when I'm a little bit older, and I won't be able to. And I think I lost my passion for it, but I always respected athletes. I always respected sports. I respected the whole idea and concept of sports, especially in schools, for younger kids to keep their bodies healthy, but also keep them occupied and keep their minds healthy. So I have this line of like love-hate with sports. Now, take it to where I am now. What do? Listen, I love mixed martial arts. I love watching. I actually snowboard. I actually fish. If you want to consider that a sport, that's fine. But I was dating my who is currently my wife now, and I was flying like I do. I travel a lot, and she had just moved to New York, and I noticed that every Sunday when I called her when I was on the road, I was like, "Where you at?" She was like, "Home." I was like, and I was just dating her, and she was like, "Yeah, all these dudes we want to go out on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm busy working. I ain't got time for that." I was like, "But it's Sunday." She was like, "Yeah, but they don't be calling me on Sunday because either they want to call me and take me to some little chicken wing bar and watch the game, a bunch of cigarette smoke, or they home and they like, I ain't even calling you on Sunday because that's my day with the game. Totally up to you. If you want to blow off steam, that's your thing. I'm cool with that." But I kept saying to myself, man, this tender little piece is just sitting in New York all by her lonesome every Sunday. Just laying around looking all sexy. She got all done up from Saturday. And I said to her when I married her, I said, I promise you one thing. I will never, ever watch a game ever on Sunday for the rest of my life. I will always be Oh, by the way, her birthday is the first week of February, second week of February. So she said she never had a birthday party because everyone's watching the Super Bowl.
Oh,
yeah. And that's how I closed the deal.
Let's go. Let's go.
So you answered my question right off the bat about kind of your love-hate relationship with sports. So let's talk about a little bit about the Yankee hat. Is baseball the one of choice if you were to pick a sport? Is baseball of choice that you would follow?
Yeah, baseball is of choice. And then listen, I've had a lot of good fortune in sports, right? EJ right now is wearing a sports-inspired jersey. I know that our number one jersey ever sold was when we came in the office, me and all the other 3 FUBU partners, and Simeon Rice had just gave us all jerseys, and we're standing around the water cooler, and we're like, yo, why do we all wear this today? Duplicate that and put FUBU on it, right?
Yeah.
I did a deal with Harlem Globetrotters. I was the first person to do a deal with Muhammad Ali, who I think is the greatest of all time. I always wanted to be into, I was always a baseball player at heart. I actually hit up Cashman the other day because I had owed him a favor for something. He had gave my boy a workout to see if he could be anywhere in the Yankees, and I said to him the other day, I said, "Hey man, don't forget, I owe you a favor. You need me to show up at a bar mitzvah or bar mitzvah or something like that. What you need? What you need?" He's like, "Yo man, I need 2 new players on my on my team. I need a couple. I need to step up my Yankee game." I was like, "Well, listen, man, I'm 52 and chubby and got a little gout, but nigga, I'll put on the
not the gout.
I put on the uniform." He wrote me back, "Thank you for always being a Yankee." And never heard from him again after that.
Hard pass, right?
So
is baseball really intrinsic to New York, right? Like back to the stickball days. Did you play stickball out on the streets and everything?
Yeah, I played stickball. I grew up around Shea Stadium. I always wanted to be a ball player, baseball.
So New York, everything as far as your teams, and I think you have to kind of subset, right? What New York teams? You guys have some options. So who are your pro sports?
Nah, listen, the Yankees, the Mets, and then I end up liking teams that I either know a lot of the players or I know the owners. Obviously, the Mavs, the Heat. I'm in Miami a lot. I can't mess with the Knicks, man. I mean, they've lost for 40-something years in a row. I got to break it down. Listen, man, I spent a lot of money on corporate tickets, whatever, for the Knicks, but at one point you got to win while I'm alive.
Let's go.
I mean, isn't the whole idea of the game to win?
That's what they're doing it for, right?
It's been 40-something years. What do you want me to do? 40-something years?
You don't see the positivity with the Knicks right now? I mean, they're kind of rolling. There's some.
Yeah. I went through that. I bought tickets when the positivity was around too back in the days.
We build it, man. Shout out to Julius Randle. The Knicks.
I like the Nets.
The Nets.
Yeah, I think I see something there.
Does New York really claim the Nets, or is that just kind of the hot show right now?
Once they moved to Brooklyn, they claimed them.
They claimed them.
Once they moved to Brooklyn, they definitely claimed them. And the Giants have done their thing here and there, so the Jets. There we go again. So anyway, I just want to see a team win once in 4 decades.
It's been a rough one. It's definitely been a rough one up that way.
But now, but we always go back to, don't forget about the most winningest team in sports history.
Yeah, I mean,
no,
you have to fall back on greatness at some point.
Greatness, right? That's it. That's what you always bring up, right? Go with that. All right, man. Anything else, man? You got MH? All right, so just want to jump forward a little bit and just talk about, really what you want to celebrate, right? So I'm thinking, because we are a sports show. First, I want to understand, how do you put out so much damn content, man? Between your YouTube, what you do on like your LinkedIn, that's dope. Like the LinkedIn Live, like it'll hit up on my my feed and I'll jump on. Your interviews, take a time with us, man. So how do you put out so much content? And of course, I think there's a reason to share that, man.
Well, it's in the need of knowing the content is king and putting out so many pieces of information and knowing that people are not all going to touch your brand through the same outlets, and being disciplined enough to know that you have to be consistent with it. I really should actually be putting out more content as far as I'm concerned. But then I also, I got the public stage, so I'm fortunate enough to do a great interview like this. And as you share this out, we find things that maybe I haven't touched on, like maybe the story about my wife or how I feel about sports teams. We take some of those clips right there and then and learn how to do it smart instead of hard, right? And we even have a program shows how, instead of being on Reels and Instagram and TikTok all day long, how to cut up one minute piece of content you put out and make 10 pieces and then put it in a calendar to get it out consistently, because you have to work at it and you got to be up in people's faces.
Get this game. I hope y'all listening. Hope y'all got your notebooks out.
David, I wanted to follow up with that because we had a live show a couple months ago. And I have a feeling that, as society now, we have almost access to too much information. And always sometimes, gets us out of focus on what our path and what our goals are sometimes. So I guess, do you think there's too much information out there? Is there access to too much information? Or you think we're right where we need to be as a society?
That's a tough question. I mean, it is access to too much information, but the problem is, how do you sift through the right information or wrong information? That's really what it is. But I think that if you're looking at scalability and how people are changing their thought process and traveling the world globally and stuff like that, I do think you need as much information, but you just have to be the judge on, what is the content you want to take with you. The problem is, as Seth Godin would say, they're not making any more attention these days. And as we see during this pandemic, what we saw was people who are brilliant, and then we saw some of the most stupidest people on the planet. It was just so polarizing, right? And if you notice, the stupidest people on the planet, they have limited information. They just look at the first 30 seconds of seeing something, don't check the credibility of it, don't even go and look at anything else, and just say, this is all I need to know. And then they live their life off of that and make life-changing decisions off of that limited amount of information. And that's problematic. And a lot of the world is like that. But listen, I'm an optimistic guy. If a lot of the world is like that, think about all the opportunities we have. Because I always say, money's always going to change. Money's always going to go from the uninformed to the informed. And that's the best way it is. And the people selling them that small, limited information, they're making money off of them.
That's true.
Hey.
You know what I mean? When they say the whole world is shut down because of some pedophilers, some celebrity pedophilers, think about how stupid that is. Every global economy, the whole global economy was shut down because of a whole bunch of people who are pedophiles.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about here?
Right. Pizza.
But those people subscribing to that organization, no doubt. Let's do it. Tell me more.
No, that's definitely the hook for him. So we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about, you are the people's shark. We talk about Shark Tank, man. I mean, what are we in 10 plus seasons, right? So 13, 14 seasons?
13 seasons, yeah.
You still enjoy it? And then how did, who's the Mark, is it Mark Brunette, I believe? How did he find you? So give us, are you still entertained or still enjoying it? And how did he find you?
Yeah, listen, I'm very entertained, very inspired by it. I get to sit next to some really brilliant business people that I respect and value. And normally, if I wasn't sitting next to them for 13 years, I'd be begging them to be my mentors in some way or another, or have a symbiotic relationship with them. But it's the people that get up there, the people that get up on that stage, the people that came from nothing. You have your people, and that's why sometimes I get pissed at the people who come up on that stage who have a lot, and they shouldn't be there because they're taking an opportunity away from somebody who has nothing. But I'm inspired by the new generations, the new way of people are doing things, and I'm learning simultaneously how to do new ways of business. People up there. I mean, Shark Tank is a reflection of what's going on in the world. It's an accurate reflection. You're seeing people up there now who could have been homeless, lost their job, was working on somebody else's job, decided to start their own. You can see up there people who are talking about these weird things called NFTs and cryptos and whatever cases, and it's reflecting exactly where the world is going. And a lot of people who wouldn't normally hear about this stuff because they're going to tune it out because finance and all this investing stuff can be either intimidating or it's just not sexy. They hear about it in a fun, educational way, and then they start to go, let me look more into it. Let me see if that's something. And then all of a sudden they find their dream, they find their career. So I love the show. I love doing it. Mark found me because I think I was putting my first book out and I was going on a lot of talk shows like Donnie Deutsch and CNBC and MSNBC, and somebody found me and said, because you got to remember, is to be a shark, you can't really, you have to be self-made, right? You have to have the right amount of money to invest in things. So that means you can't work for a company or a corporation,
Okay.
right? Hopefully people will already also have known something that you have created. Mark Cuban, Barbara Corcoran. They didn't necessarily know Robert. He was cyber crimes expert. So it's a small pot if you then look at how are you going to diversify the panel, right? Because they don't want necessarily somebody who is just a music star.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a big music star, but if you and I are looking at big music stars and they're on there and they're making 10 investments a year and they're saying they're going to add their team in, somebody would say, well, you never did anything, nothing wrong with it, but you never did anything besides music. How do you know about manufacturing? How do you, so you have to be somebody who rolled your sleeves up in that stuff. So the pool gets really tight for it. And I guess that they realized that I was, they saw me on television. They saw that I was investing in other companies. They saw that obviously I can add diversity to the panel. They called me up and asked me, did I want to do it? And at first I said yes. And then they said I couldn't do any other show but theirs. And at the time I was co-managing all the placements in the Kardashians' television shows. And I was going to be on the show 3 separate times for like 3 minutes apiece. Their show, and they said no, well, you can't do it if you're going to be on the Kardashian show. And remember, the Kardashians weren't who they are today. This is season 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
And I turned down the show, and then Chloe found out that I turned down the Shark Tank show, not the Kardashian show.
Right.
And Chloe found out I was going to turn it down because of her, and she fired me. She said she doesn't want to get in my way, and the world needs to know who Daymond John is.
Let's go.
That's big time. That's big time. One of the books that you've authored and wrote, you kind of briefly touched on, is the Power of Broke. I'm going to start way in center field, and I'm gonna come back with this question. But I'm a sports fan by and by, through and through. I didn't watch cartoons growing up. I just had favorite athletes. But one of the stories I guess that we all fall in love with is the underdog, the undrafted person, the person that came from maybe nothing or wasn't a first round draft choice, and now they excel to stardom. So I guess give us your take and the power of broke. What advantage does that athlete have in coming up in the game?
Well, not knowing too much about the rigors and the process that the athletes go through after they get, because I do remember reading Outliers.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there was a part in Outliers where basically was breaking down some form of being an athlete, and you get to this tier, you get better training, nutrition, blah, 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 blah. Right. And I think that story of the underdog is always the Mr. T, or Rocky would be a fly and he was in there. Hey woman. I think that's that's where the hunger comes. It's the power of broke. It's like, my desire to win and my desire to compete and my desire to show them that they're not going to let me down. I'm not going to let them down, is going to outweigh any great workout facility, any great this and that. I'm just going to go in. I'm going hard. And I think that's the beauty of being an athlete, that listen, in basketball and team sports, there's a little bit of a negotiate. There's a little bit of, is Jordan really the best? LeBron, because they got this, they got that. But anyway, you talk about the top 10 ever played it, right? Whatever the case is. But that's why I love single sports, right? Because the decision is usually very, very clear on who it is. Right. On who it is. One of my books, Lindsey Vonn, you're practicing 4 years to win over a millisecond against the best players the best people in the entire world. I know boxing has gotten a little political over the years. We all know that. That's why I like UFC, because UFC is very simple. I'm sorry, I will never do it again. I'm wrong. I'm tapping out. Please let go of my arm, uncle.
The ultimate uncle game, right? So jumping over, definitely want to talk about, we're Black in Sports, Black Entrepreneurs Day, man. You talked about things have come out of a recession. We've all lived through like recessions and other downtimes, but just talk to us about the creation and tell our audience what it is, because You know, I definitely shared it, posted, reposted some of the quotes. It's an amazing form and platform. So tell us just a little bit about how it got started, man, and why it's important to you.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. We did second year, but the first year came out of obviously we were all stuck home in the pandemic, and we were watching the same thing. We were watching this world crumble. You know what I mean? And all of us were frustrated. Most of us felt like we weren't doing enough. What could we do? Or, you know, things are not changing. Because I reflect on it and I look at what was happening 2020. It's the exact same thing that was happening in 92. Exactly the same. You know, it was the chokehold and various things were being enforced. We watched somebody get brutally attacked. And then we watched people get acquitted and for doing these type of things. And we had some of the same people that were in the White House. Bill Barr was actually in the White House at the same time. And we saw cities being burned down and people with no hope. And also collectively, people of all colors getting together collectively in the street and saying, we're going to stand on this side of justice, because it's not just these people who are suffering. We're all suffering as a society if we allow a good portion of our team to sit on the bench and make them sit on the bench. You know what I mean? So I just said to myself, what can I do? Just like everybody else, you think that somebody else is going to solve the problem. But if every one of us took one step forward in the capacity of what we could do, the problem would be solved, no matter how small your attempt is. So, my staff and I, we decided, listen, why don't I call up a couple of celebrity friends? Why don't we do a broadcast about being a Black entrepreneur? Because again, the lack of information is out there on where to get funding. What are you supposed to look out for? What questions to ask? Let me see other people that look like me. You know what I mean? That are doing business. I mean, it is really a shame that if you think about television these days, I'm the only African American on television that has nothing to do with politics, sports, or music. That's it. Yeah. Period. All right. And there's many of us. And our kids need to see many of us, because they may look at Daymond John and I'd rather them say he didn't have any political connections, he definitely can't sing, and he can't play sports. So if his ass can get there, I definitely can get there. You know what I mean? Right. And after we call these celebrities to say, you want to gather together and do this broadcast, we called up sponsors like Chase and Facebook or Meta, what you want to call them today, or other people. And they were like, we want to do this and we want to broadcast it, meaning we want our face on the marquee next to you, which is very important.
That's big.
Right. And we put it out, and then we got overwhelming like views and
shit was amazing, man.
Yeah, and then we did it the next year. We did it at the Apollo Theater live from the Apollo Theater, and we had everybody there too. I interviewed Tyra Banks. I interviewed Run from Run DMC, Kevin Hart, Michael Strahan. Speaking of sports, and every year we had sports people, and we had first year we had D Wade and Shaq in it. Yeah. Second year Shaq came back. And we had Strahan, because we wanted people also to hear more importantly, the mistakes that athletes and professionals have made in their life coming up, because a lot of athletes go bankrupt after leaving the league. And, and us as African Americans, we always want to just, show our best side. But the reality is, if you, like you said, you weren't watching cartoons. If you were training to be the best athlete you can ever be, that's a very, very hard thing to do. You can also, and maybe simultaneously you can, but how much time you got to work on finance? How much time you got to work on whatever else you have as your backup in your career? I mean, for the first 18 years, I mean, you are trying to be the best you can be. You know what I mean? So, and then when people hear that athletes are going broken or whatever, they're like, oh, that's why they call the big dumb athlete. No. Regular Americans don't understand finance.
Right.
You know what I mean? Anyway, and we shared all that. That's what Shaq was sharing. He was like, yo, when I first got my check, I blew it all night. I was like, what are taxes? What's FICA? Right. He said he didn't know. And this is real, but we're not talking about this stuff, normally.
Yeah, no, it's real, man. I got to ask, man, Durag Miles, 7th grade Miles, when I had a hairline still, man. Man, there was a lot I would do for that jersey. And Mom's never got one until high school, that 05 FUBU jersey. But we've all kind of seen the story of the creation of the brand, but was there any kind of hiccups in the process? Obviously, we only hear about some of the linear growth of it. What was some of the hiccups in the process of building the brand?
Oh man, there was a lot. I mean, I opened in '89 and I closed it down 3 times from '89 to '92. There's the story of how I got $100,000 mortgage on my mother's house.
Yeah,
and that was all we had was the house. But 6 months later, because I didn't know how money worked again, I was 3 months later on the mortgage. They were going to take the house, and I had $500 left. And it wasn't that I spent it on lavish things. I was paying for raw goods ahead of time, so you got to put out money 90 days ahead of time for that. Paying for operations, right? A staff, shipping, utilities, paying for the equipment. And then when I got paid, the accounts didn't pay me for 30, 60, 90 days. Social media, the internet wasn't even out yet. Not like you can say, boop, boop, boop. Okay, maybe right. COD once in a while. So I was about to lose everything. Even before that, I got turned down by 27 banks. A lot of stores didn't want to take us in. They said there's 4 black males on the hang tag, and we don't want people having shootouts or shoplifting in the store. I mean, I ain't never seen a person in the store. I don't care what color you are. Like, yo, man, you got a pair of 34s over there? I want those 34s. I want those. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Stores, like the ignorance we had to deal with that. Yeah, I mean, listen, all kind of stuff. We put out we tried to put out the NBA wanted us to do a line of fashion product with the NBA, and we put it out. And what we find that even though they wanted to go to having kids wear Knicks colored velour sets, that kid wanted their Ewing jersey. That's all they wanted. They didn't want no Knicks anything else. If it's maybe a hat, because a baseball hat with a Knicks thing, but other than that, they wanted their players' colors, their players' name. So the line didn't work that well. So yeah, we had a lot of hiccups.
All right, MH, hit him with the quick hits.
So then this is kind of some just quick random questions. Kind of first thing that came to your mind, or first quick story about it. I guess best phase of your life.
Challenging. Every day keeps getting better in a sense, I guess, because I keep trying to perfect it. So I would think now.
Favorite place to vacation?
Bahamas.
Top 5 movies. I love to hear this one.
Tough one, man. Tough one, man. All right, top 5 movies. Predator, Scarface, Wall Street. I gotta get one with Sylvester Stallone. Rocky with Rambo.
Oh, Rambo. Okay.
Come on, man. Come on. Rambo and the Rocky with Mr. T.
Rocky 4.
Was that number 4 or number 3? I think that was 3.
4 or 3.
But then, because then you get me stuck, because then I got to go Star Wars and Star Trek. I mean, it just goes on but you know what it is. It's all action joints where somebody's dying.
There you go.
Dream goal that you still have to accomplish.
Oh man, dream goal. Get more African Americans to believe that they can do exactly what I've done.
Yo, let's go.
Yeah.
Historical figure that you can have kind of a dinner guest with.
We talking dead or alive?
Dead or alive.
Well, you got to go Jesus first, but let me see. So if you don't go Jesus first, then
you got some other shit to worry about. Past collection on
need
that.
To back it up to Ecclesiastics.
I would say probably Genghis Khan.
Whoa.
They say that 80% of the planet has his DNA in him. And I'm not saying it because of that. I'm saying it because he conquered the world at such a young age. He conquered now, and yeah, will you question some of the techniques he had, of course, absolutely. You know what I mean? But the accomplishment or the challenge that he had to do that, to conquer modern world at 30 something years old.
Love it. And the last one, when the Knicks win this championship again.
Oh Lord, there they go.
The fan base is having you back as a fan.
Oh, when the Knicks when the Knicks finally win, I'm gonna be up there like acting like I never left. Oh no, I'm a sucker MC when it comes to that. I'm shady. I'm like, yo, man, I spend money on tickets. I can do this. Don't worry about that.
Like, hey, you talk about that's your investment. You've been invested in that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh man. So okay, man. Moving on, man. What we're here for is the platform. We call this the winner's circle, man. And there's so much that you talk about, but we just want to shine a little bit of light. We hit some of the accolades. We definitely missed some. I want to talk to you a little bit about, man, Shark Sports Management, man. I know that's a newer kind of entry that you're dealing with, and it's getting up and started, man. Where did that come from? Why do you feel the need to be in that space?
So for many years, like the heydays of FUBU was hanging out in Cancun, partying, and I partied with a lot of athletes out there, and they were my boys, and many of them still are, you know. But it was those years, and I would see them down the road later on. I would see some of them in challenging positions. It's not like we don't know who they are, but if you really look like who were the top athletes in the year 1998 to 2003 and where they are now, there are some ones who are still doing great. My John Salads of the world, my Guppies, what's his name, Cassell, and a lot of people have moved on into the industry and stuff like that. But a lot of them I saw go through challenges and they didn't have any money, and they admitted why they didn't have any money. I said to myself, who's ever going to help these young men, you know, do it and figure out what they were going to do? And I wanted to, really start helping guys. So we started looking at creating an agency where the agent just doesn't take the money and move on, but somebody who can explain to them how to negotiate a lot of their deals on and off the court. But more importantly, you know, build up trust and wills and long-term understanding of how capital worked and not be exploited by all these people like, give me all this money to help you, and they don't help you, but teach them simultaneously and give them access to my teams. So we came up with Shark Sports, and a lot of people haven't heard about it. I mean, you've been able to do your research, which we really appreciate, because we didn't want to put it out there just.
And I get that didn't want to put it out there.
Yeah.
You got me?
There we go. We back. No, you good.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. It is so because what we want to do is we wanted to really talk to a lot of athletes, because a lot of times you talk to them and they got their friend who want the brown bag on the side, and these cats they really don't want to learn at the moment. They're just not there at that moment. We don't want people who are ingenuine, because the worst thing to say is, man, you see the 100 investments that came to you, I'm telling you not to do 98 of them. Wow. You know, and that's what we're here to try to protect them as well. So but we do have some players. I mean, we have Jay Crowder, we have Baker Mayfield, we have John Franklin from the Jets, Michael Gallup, from the Cowboys. We have a couple of people on board who are fascinating and they want to learn, and they're great people to be partners with. And we call them partners because we want to make sure that they are protected, they learn, they grow, and they use their intellectual property way beyond sports.
The IP is important.
Yeah.
And that process is, starting a lot earlier now with, name, image, and likeness in the NCAA. So what's your thoughts on that?
I don't really have much thoughts on that just yet. I'm trying to understand a little bit more on where we fit in and how these things, because there's going to be a lot more changes in these things.
Yeah.
I think a lot of kids will still be taken advantage of in a different way if they're not very careful with it, because those IPs could get locked up in various different ways also. Right. And being somebody who is hungry and getting somebody to wave a dollar in your face, you gotta be careful of that as well. So I'm waiting to see this thing unfold a little bit more, But I think it all around, is it a great opportunity? Yes. 100%. Because no longer the gatekeepers are holding it back from you.
And it's giving these kids an opportunity. No, that's a great sentiment, a way to look at it. So even with this new evolving stuff, right? You brought it up earlier in our conversation talking about NFTs. So the NBA was really one of the big sports to kind of like jump on NFTs. Like, what are your early thoughts about it? Or, are you still kind of doing your research in that world as well?
Well, all of us are doing our research on it, but there's going to be so many different ways to use it and monetize it, or just use it.
Mm-hmm.
I think every one of us are going to have dozens of NFTs, in one way or another. You can have an NFT that is something that is a special piece of art or collectible, or you can have an NFT saying, I get access to, Blacks in Sports podcast because I have this NFT, or, Blacks in Sports podcast. I bought one NFT that is transferable. I can sell it, obviously, but every year I get to go to a great outing in Las Vegas because I have this NFT, and I get that membership because I bought this NFT at $5, $50, or $100, and I got access to a great conversation with these guys and a bunch of athletes who have who want to appear once a year with you guys or quarterly. So an NFT can be anything.
That's dope, man. So, first of all, have you seen the Colin documentary, the Colin Kaepernick documentary? Black
I saw the first episode when he was when he finally found out about soul food and getting his hair braided and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that brought up a lot of buzz.
But I got a question.
Go ahead. Turn it.
Does he have? I'm sorry. His mother was white.
Mm-hmm.
His dad is black, because in that thing, his dad is white.
He's adopted.
He's adopted.
Yeah.
His adopted parents.
You see how much I know about sports?
Yeah, he was adopted and showed his rough time, and since he was adopted, his parents didn't know what that salt and pepper and some seasoning was. Because
and then I kept looking at mom going, is she light skinned? You know what I'm saying? Like,
trying to figure it out, huh?
I was trying to work it out. When, you know what? I should have done exactly what I'm telling you guys to do. I should have picked up the damn Google and looked it up.
So with that, there's a lot of controversy around, well, not just that show, right? Because, they showed the slave, and there's books about, the athlete and the slave, that kind of comparison, man. But there are some challenges. What, is that part of the process that you're attacking with, starting this, starting your management group? Because it's, you're doing more than just getting in their deal. You're looking at them holistically. Was that part of the conversation?
It's not much part of the conversation about what the structure is on where athletes are in regards to trading and various other things. They are a product like all of us are to some extent. But if I can give them financial intelligence for them to have financial freedom, then they can decide to walk away if they need to, or not be caught up because they need it. Economical freedom and power is the only thing that will free you. It's the only thing that will free a community. It's the only thing that will free an individual. When an individual has the right to say, "No, I'm cool. I got enough going on over here, man. I'm cool. Don't talk to me like that."
Right.
I think when somebody's able to say, "Don't talk to me like that," I'll play basketball on my own with my boys. Don't worry about it. I'm good. I just think that is, that's what's important first. Now, I'm not going to be able to get in there, or I can, but it's not my place to do it, to get in and go do the structure of all these other things and try to take on that. If I can just get 1 or 2 or 3 individuals to do this, then what happens? Everybody else starts to do this too, right? Everybody else starts to say, man, I'm using my IP like that. I mean, everybody wants to be Jordan, right? Everybody wants to start to understand how to use their IP.
You talked about something earlier about mentorship. Something about, some of the athletes, some that may come from difficult backgrounds, when they make it to the professional ranks, they're plopped in a situation where they have access to everything. They're able to talk to those that they may not have been able to before. They have a lot of money, but, nothing that has changed at home has changed outside of just, a couple zeros behind their name. So the importance of mentorship as you're building the business, as you're coming up on the brand, how important is that to you and continuing your success as a professional?
Yeah, no, that's critical. I mean, you're only learning, in life through your mistakes or your mentors. That is critical. But as long as the athlete or as long as the person is open to advice, when I made my first like about $15 million. I blew it. But it was when I decided to talk to the people around me and say, what do you think I did wrong? You know, I didn't, yeah. Did I buy some lavish things? Yes. But was it overwhelming? No. So what did I do wrong? And it's by being that vulnerable to ask other people, what's up? Can you help me? You know, people who don't need you. Is being that vulnerable to ask them. That's important.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
But if you're an athlete and you run on the court and that whole row is filled with billionaires, and you have the ego or not to say, hey man, if you're ever in a deal that I can put a couple of dollars in, I know it ain't going to be a lot, but I want to learn the process. And maybe listen, even if I want to be the face of it, whatever the case is, what can I do for you? You let me know. Talk to me. That's a billionaire. What do they need you for? They want you in because they like to fuck with you.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So, but how many games an athlete play a year, and how many times for 10 years they ran by people and nothing ever happened? But
And
meanwhile, they're asking Pookie, we opening up this modeling company?
Facts. And that was funny because Magic Johnson said that in his book. You know, he was like, yo, during the later years of time, you know, in his, I think it was like the 32 Habits of, you know, Success, whatever, he's like, I'm at the Lakers, right? Like I'm courtside with all these people. Why would I not ask them, you know, to be involved with a deal or help me or mentor me? So no, that's a great point. So since we're on mentorship and, you know, we're getting close to wrapping it up, we like to call this the assist, right? We keep it sports related. So the assist. So what coaching gym or nugget or something you would tell yourself, or just something you want to share with our audience, man?
Financial intelligence. You got to learn it at an early age. You got to learn as early as you can. If you don't have it, it's okay. You got to teach your children it. You're going to be making financial decisions, hopefully big financial decisions that you could be paying for the rest of your life around 17, 18 years old. If you're going to decide on if you're going to go to college and you're going to take $500,000 worth of student debt that you won't pay off until you're 50 years old, right? But if you don't know how money works and you don't know what taxes are for and how they're paid, you know, and any of this stuff, you may go out and use your credit card for stuff, use all this and that, and you don't have financial intelligence. It doesn't mean if you're going to be an athlete, if you're just going to balance a checkbook at home, you're going to need to know that, because once you don't have financial intelligence, and if you have bad spending habits, you generally have other bad habits around you. You know, you can't get the quality of healthcare you want. You can't get the education you would like. I'm not saying you can't get it at all, but now you're stressing to get a lot of things, right? You don't know how credit works, then you're going to have a low credit score. You're going to have a low credit score. That means your loans are going to cost way more if you get a loan at all. That means you can't have a nice place. You can't have a nice house. You can't have a nice car. You can't have a nice education, whatever the case is. It's financial intelligence is the most critical thing you're going to need in this life. And a lot of parents, I always tell them this: if you don't think it's important, well, the fact is your kids are going to take care of you 2 times longer than you took care of them.
Because we're no longer.
Wow. Yeah. So if you don't want to have your ass out in the parking lot of Piggly Wiggly with a dirty diaper strapped to your ass, you got to teach your kids financial intelligence, because I'm telling you, they're going to put your ass in a home first.
Figure out the rest later. So anything, man, that you want to plug, man? I mean, you have some stuff going, always have plenty of things going on, man. I mean, I know you dropped a book earlier this year, but anything that you want to promote, make sure we know that's out there, and then where the people can find you.
Yeah, well, you can find me on all social media platforms. I'm at The Shark Daymond, but Daymond like Raymond, spelled with a D. Of course, every Friday night you see me. I'm on ABC, Shark Tank. My last book was Power Shift, and I have something called Daymond on Demand. But other than that, you know, I just want to wish everybody, you know, a happy holidays and all that stuff. And thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to get together and talk freely. You know, not have to talk like I'm on ABC, you know, talk about some of the stuff only we kind of can talk about.
Facts.
And I appreciate you.
Absolutely. MH, final thoughts.
I mean, it's been an honor, man. We really appreciate your time, man. It's crazy. I'm pinching myself this whole time, like I'm talking to D, man.
Well, don't worry about it, man. Listen, man. 2045, man. You and me at the Knicks celebration. We're gonna have a good time.
I'm with you.
We're gonna be there, baby.
We in there.
Hey, let's get it. Hey, well, blessings and thank you to our host, man, D. Man, I appreciate you. You know that, man, for all you've given to me before this. People, I hope you enjoyed this show. I hope you hit replay, man, and get some of these nuggets that was delivered to you, man. Understand we drop a new show every Thursday, so please subscribe because subscribe to our YouTube channel because visual representation matters. All right. So please stay safe, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even.
Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Look. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Smack about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap and back.
Screaming, all us blacks.